I'll give us an extra 30 seconds just to settle.
Sounds good.
Does anyone else need water, or are we all good?
That's very hospitable. Do you guys want some water? Usually they don't do this.
Coming in after this.
A lot of people listening there, Sarah. Get ready.
I'm excited.
Oh, and for the time change, we're going to go to 58 if you want to, your choice.
Sounds good.
Live on tape on WWDB AM 860. 10 seconds. HD2 at www.am.com and wherever you listen to your favorite audio. Just ask Alexa.
The following programming is sponsored by Thomas Toole III. The views expressed do not necessarily reflect the station, its management, or Beasley Media Group.
Good afternoon, Greater Philadelphia area. This is Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Sarah Timon. And we've got another Sarah here, too. Sarah, I have to pronounce this apparently with Italian hands, is what you told me. Guastafaro. She is the area vice president from RE/MAX International for our area around here. I'll let you explain that in a second here. We're going to be talking about the 3 reasons why the housing market's a lot healthier than it has been in the past. A Compass exclusive listing nearly cost a seller $100,000. Apparently nothing to see there. And then we're going to talk all about what Sarah does at RE/MAX International, headquartered out of Denver. So if you get some value out of this or you like what you hear, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. And if you want to schedule a call with our team about how we can help you understand why the housing market's healthier and make sure you don't leave $100,000 on the table when you're selling your home, you can schedule a call with Sarah Timon with the link in the comments. She's got many happy listeners that are also clients. So Sarah from RE/MAX, this is going to get very confusing today. So tell us a little bit about, what you do. We're going to break that down a little bit in the third segment here, but just introduce yourself to the audience here.
Yeah, thanks so much, Tom. So my name is Sarah Guastafaro. I'm an area vice president in the East region for RE/MAX World Headquarters. I oversee 6 states plus DC. Throughout the East region. So the East region spans all the way from the very tip of Maine down to Florida, and then as far west as Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee.
Love it. Well, we are grateful to have you here. Thank you, Sarah Timon. We're just going to have to go by Sarah T and Sarah G, I think is what's going to happen.
We're like back.
Do you need to move this down?
Again?
There we go. Yes, I know. That happened to my son on his baseball team. There was like multiple Leos, so I get it. So let's talk about this housing market health right now. So Sarah T, this is ridiculous. Before we get into all this here, how are you feeling about the market before I start to break down some of this data? What are your clients feeling? Is it healthier now than it has been? Because I think a lot of people would argue this point, especially consumers, that it may not be a healthy housing market.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on if you're a buyer, a seller, what your situation is.
Sure.
But overall, I think it has been healthier in the sense that inventory has grown a little bit. You've got a little bit more opportunity as a buyer to negotiate out some of the inspections, some of the time frames, and as always, I think everything's situational. So you're gonna have those hot properties that are super competitive where it's not across the board that it's a given that you're going to be able to get all of these different things accepted in with your offer. But it's, I've seen instances where you're able to negotiate that stuff out. For the sellers, I think it can be a little bit of a punch in the gut, just depending on what strategy you went with, what your situation is. You can't necessarily expect to get that offer that just is completely above and beyond expectations.
Well, I think that's a really good observation. And, we know that sellers do have very high expectations right now. The survey was, I think, 81% of sellers believe they're going to get their asking price. And when you look at the economic indicators about what a healthy housing market is, you hit on the first one, that there's more inventory. I mean, the inventory levels we saw in 22 and 21 and 2020 were very unhealthy. Right now, we're seeing 32% more homes on the market nationally than what we've seen in previous years, which is a big jump. We're still not ahead of the pre-pandemic inventory numbers yet, but people have some choices. And, some folks are still struggling, that they're not happy with what they're seeing. To give some perspective, there's 31.8% more homes in the Bright MLS service area than there were this time last year, the same week. So that's pretty substantial growth. That's number one. Are your clients kind of acknowledging that, especially the ones you're working with on the purchase side?
Yeah, so it depends on, I'm trying to just like, I've got a few that like are very specific. So for what they're looking for, so general increase in inventory doesn't necessarily help them if it's not,
Mhm.
you know, what they're exactly what they're looking for. But yes, overall, being able to send out more options has, you know, definitely has people feeling good.
So Sarah from Remax, you just talked about how big your region is,
Yeah.
and I'm going to go to the Zillow heat map here in a second because we can talk about the Philadelphia area all we want.
Mhm.
You're talking about Florida, right? You live in Denver, so those are very different markets. What are some of like the broker owners and the Remax offices saying in some of these other states where you're helping some of these Remax franchise owners and members of the network?
Yeah, good question. To your exact point, Tom, we see a wide range. Some folks are coming back and saying, "Gosh, the market's super hot here. Our agents are just crushing it. Other people are struggling." And I think the difference is those agents that really lean into the brand and the tools and really buckle down on some of the fundamentals and get back to the basics of the business and really position themselves as the expert in the marketplace are the ones that are winning. Those are the ones that, provide the stellar experience to their clients, the ones that, care and do their research and make sure to educate themselves and continuously grow. And at Remax, quite frankly, we're excited because, in any sort of market, if Remax agents outproduce the competition 2 to 1. We know that Remax agents are known for being the most trusted, the most professional, the most productive agents in the marketplace, and all that equates to a better experience for buyers and sellers. So I know we're seeing a lot of different things across many different markets. To your point, Tom, we service, the entire United States and over 110 countries worldwide. So we see a lot, but I think those that are focused on doing the right things really well and focused on giving a good experience to their clients are the ones that are thriving right now.
You said a couple things that we talk about this all the time, like using data to communicate.
Mhm.
And you think that most agents would know the basics, but we know that most of them don't, right? So I think that's a really good point as well. And I think when you're in these other markets, you look at Zillow's heat map they just came out with, where they have actually some markets identified as a neutral market, which is the first time I've seen that in about 5 years. And you're seeing these like purple dots, so it's along like the Sun Belt. You're getting a little bit in the Midwest, and then the dark red areas are all in the Northeast, the West Coast. So you are seeing a varying market right now, which I think is pretty important to kind of acknowledge. And the dark red means it's a very strong seller's market. So inventory coming up is the first indicator. The second indicator that Logan Motoshami identified when he was on CNBC was that mortgage purchase applications are way ahead of where they are year over year. So Sarah, I'm just going to point at everybody. It's very rude, but it's going to sound better. Are you seeing there's you've got active listings on the market. You've got active buyers. Are you seeing there's still demand in the marketplace? Because we know a purchase application can't be filed until an agreement of sale is signed. These numbers are way ahead of last year.
Yeah, I mean, I think it usually comes down to motivation, but yes, if you're motivated, you are still out there doing deals and getting things done.
Well, I think there's a lot of the people are okay with rates now too. I think rates haven't really come down. I mean, what were the quotes today? Like 6 and 7/8 we saw locally. So the fact that rates haven't come down and you're seeing maybe some more options, which might mean that's why there's more applications out there being filed. But this is persistently ahead of 2024's numbers, with the exception of a couple weeks at like in February that we're way ahead there, and that's consistent year over year growth. And even with like the rate spike, I mean, it's cooled demand down a little bit, but we're still way positive. And then the third indicator is not only the positive home price growth, but also the existing home sales. And for the first time all year, we're pacing ahead of last year. So do you feel like there's going to be more homes that are selling? And Sarah from Remax, I'm curious what you think, because you're in so many different markets, and you're not as localized as we are here. Are you feeling that there's more opportunity that's going to be coming up for folks in May and June specifically? We know those are big months in the Northeast.
Yeah, I think the race will dictate that tremendously, but I also think that one thing remains true: people always need to find a home. And to your point, Sarah T, their internal motivators are what might spark that. So I think if we see, the rates continue to stagnate, I think people are going to still make those decisions because they need to.
Right.
So I think There's probably some people out there that have been waiting, and this is where being the real estate expert comes in, where we can translate, what does that mean? What these trends, what does that mean from a home buying or selling perspective? So yeah, I think there's still going to be movement. There's still going to be, competition out there, and that's still going to, be true.
Yeah. I mean, I guess for me, just from like my own pocket of, signed listing contracts that haven't yet come up as, or either like came up today is coming soon, or not today, will be coming up, the end of this week is coming soon, or like a couple more weeks down the line, just kind of like knowing what is in the pipeline and coming. Like, I know I've got a couple coming up that would still put the sellers in that category of people coming in that can close over the summer and be in for the next school year. So we're like absolutely very safely still in that range to list and have everything come to fruition there in time for the next school year, if the home is one that's going to probably be a factor in.
Well, that's usually a big decision-making point for a lot of folks as well, as because schools, I mean, you're looking at what happens in their lives, right? Like pulling the kids out of school in the middle of the year it's horrible. Like, people don't want to do that. So that's a great point, Sarah. What we're seeing locally, just to give some perspective, is that showings are up 3.5% compared to last year, but they're up 29.4% compared to last week. I think that has a little bit to do with like spring break and the holiday, because we were coming off Easter. New listings are up 12.2% year over year. That's a big number. And the active listings, and there's a difference here. Again, that's up 31.8%. We've also seen more canceled listings. And I think where the softness in the market comes in, homes aren't just like selling right at the asking price right away. I mean, I think of a listing we just sold where it went at a good number, but it took like a couple weeks, right? I mean, and even one we're working on some inspections now, like it went for a number we thought it would go for, but it took a couple months. It was in the premium segment. So are you seeing that listings are taking a little longer to sell? Because I don't know that it's necessarily a bad thing for the health of the market. I don't think it's very healthy to have to make a decision in 15 minutes outside while there's a line of people out the door.
Right. Yeah. I think for the sellers, kind of keeping them motivated and keeping them positive when it didn't go the first weekend is pretty important. And, if there is feedback there, if there are things that we need to adjust on our end, which we're getting from feedback, then that's something that can be addressed. But if that isn't the case, like sometimes it is like the expectation isn't that it's going to always go in one weekend. So just kind of like keeping things positive, and being confident, for sellers, absolutely. For buyers, being able to go in and take advantage of some of the homes that have been sitting a little bit longer. One of the first questions that you always want to ask when reaching out to the listing agent, if it's a home that's been on the market for a bit, is, has the seller rejected other offers? So, because I think that a lot of times people think like, oh, it's been on the market for 2 weeks. We can go in, and, we can go in under, we can get all of this stuff. When it's important to know, maybe they've already gotten those offers and they've said no to them, so that you kind of know, what the expectation is and where you can push back, without, putting yourself out of the race.
I think you got to be careful asking that question, because then you're going to get the agent says, I don't want to waste my time. Right. And they don't want to write the offer, and you don't know how it could be received, even if they turn that down early on. So there's always some perspective there. I know you're always a big proponent of writing the offer, but what do you tell your clients when they want to come in lower and they maybe turn something down a little higher? Like, how do you have that conversation?
Well, everything's situational. So, depending on how much time passed from that other offer being rejected, people, as time goes by, suddenly that offer may seem more appealing. And then, I think there's always go for it. And the worst that can happen is that they say no, or that they counter. So letting them aware of whatever information you have, if it's, hey, I know that they've rejected that number previously, but sure, let's give it a shot. You want their expectations to be on par. But I'm always a proponent for write the offer.
Yeah. Well, a great example is this just happened to us with a home that we were working on together, where they turned down an offer early on. Buyer comes in with an even lower offer, and like some time had went by. Well, guess what? We were able to negotiate up past where or the other offer got rejected. So you don't know how this stuff's going to play out. And I really caution people when they say, I don't want to waste my time. If your agent's saying that to you, it's time to hire a new agent. I would fire that person like immediately, because that's what they're supposed to be doing. Now, at the same time, I think you got to, educate people and tell them what's going. It goes both ways here. Sarah from Remax, what do you think about that? You're dealing with all kinds of leaders all over the country. I mean, do you ever hear like agents say like, I don't want to waste my time, or they give you that kind of like nonsense excuse? And how do you help your leaders within the network coach those folks?
Yeah, I think there's something that we like to kind of live by, and that's expectations. Conflict only arises when expectations differ. And that is absolutely key to have that open communication. And this is where, being trusted and being professional comes into play as a Remax agent, because you're able to tap into that experience and say, in my past experience, when we do this, that means this. And here's my advice to you as a buyer moving forward with this offer. So I think it's more important than ever to not only prepare agents for what to expect themselves in those situations, but then to transfer that expectation onto the buyer or seller and make sure that they understand, all facets of that and what could happen. And to your point, their situation can change. 1 week, one offer may be less attractive than the next week. So again, I think it's you hit the nail on the head, Tom, when you set expectations. It's absolutely true. And we try to coach everyone to do that too.
Well, and sometimes it's important to have that third party validation, right? Like you're saying, hey, this offer's not going to get accepted, right? Well, what happens when the seller says it? It's a little more. Have you had that happen before, where you like? I mean, walk through those conversations, because so many agents avoid tough conversations, and when you're in a transitioning market like this, we're still coming off a low transaction number. People are hearing stuff they don't want to as a consumer right now, and you got to really work with them on that.
Yeah. So I mean, as you're trying to put together an offer or structure an offer, if you're working with a buyer, you want to bring in that past experience, the conversations that you've had with the listing agents, that you can bring them the most relevant information and like what would make the offer the strongest. But it always has to be within the comfort of the client, and then just kind of like breaking out for them a couple of different options and scenarios of how things can play out, and then what their how they want to do it. And, very often it will be the case where, you're like, hey, doing this, and this will probably secure you the home. And if they want to do something else, that's fine. I mean, let's write it. Let's give it a shot. And then hopefully the seller comes back with like a counter, or like where you still have a chance to come up and improve things, if that's the line that the seller has kind of set. Other times, sometimes it does take losing a home or two to kind of back up the information that you've been sharing with them. And that's pretty common, I would say, to lose a home or two until you're ready to kind of compete at the level, and everything's situational. But
well, I think that's it. But it's also the good news here is that when you lose a home, like you kind of realize, like you have to get real with the market sometimes. So, and when you look at a market that's transitioning like we're in, I mean, I don't see this market as much different than what we were dealing with from like February to May in 2020 when COVID kind of hit, because there was a lot of uncertainty, and I'm pretty clear we're going to see a lot of activity pop once some of these economic concerns kind of go away. So what I want to end with here, we're hearing the economy all the time, right? Sarah, how are you handling that when people say I'm nervous about the economy? What do you say to them?
Which Sarah?
Yeah, the one who sells real estate full time. So that would be that.
I guess trying to get to the bottom of what exactly about the economy is making them nervous. If it's, because depending on what that is, you may be able to back it up with different information. Definitely have empathy and understand that it certainly is valid to have different concerns. So just kind of having those conversations to get to the actual root of what the concerns are, and then being able to educate. And some of them are things that like you will be able to kind of like educate through. Others are, that's a concern. How do we want to handle it?
I love the question of like, hey, tell me what you're actually nervous about. Because I don't think most people know. I think they're nervous about what could happen, not what's actually happening. And then following up with, hey, so tell me what you were trying to accomplish in the first place. Like,
Right.
tell me more about what you're trying to find, because there's people buying and selling real estate. I mean, I pull up the hot sheet every day. There's home selling every day,
Mhm.
and these concerns are out there. So,
And
and
if you know what the actual concern
Mhm.
is, then you can tailor the search to address that.
yeah, exactly. And I think the more questions you ask, the better you're helping your clients. I think a lot of agents, they just don't want to ask these things. And it's, it's a little uncomfortable saying, so, hey, I hear you're concerned about the economy, Sarah. So tell me exactly what you are concerned about.
Mhm.
And most people, like, they just hang up the phone and they don't really go through it. So when you see a market that's in transition like this, it's even more important to ask a lot of questions and really understand the local data like we talked about. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about this Compass exclusive that nearly cost the seller $100,000. This was from a LinkedIn story. It's very, very interesting here. Sarah G, I can't wait to get your take on this. I don't know if you're even allowed to say anything, but we're going to ask anyway. Next on Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM.
Local mortgage service and great rates on your money? Look no further than Mortgage America. We've been operating in the greater Philadelphia area for 40 years with a focus on smooth, easy access to home purchasing. Whether you're a first-time buyer, upsizing or downsizing, or just refinancing, we have programs for you. We also have closing cost assistance programs and access to subsidized interest rates. Pre-approval is free, no costs or commitments. To learn more, visit our website at mymortgageamerica.com or give us a call at 610-439-8000. We always have a person available to
I can't
take
deal with
your
these kids'
call
activities
around the
anymore.
clock human service. Purchase your home with the personalized local service you find at
Leo's coach wants to drop off the equipment because he can't make it. I'm like, he's like, asking me for the garage code to our house. And I'm like, dude, that's like, he's been working right
If
now,
you're
man.
thinking of becoming a real estate agent in the greater Philly area, I have a special offer for you. Our team did $165 million.
How often are you in market, Sarah? Like, what's this? Is this like a regular thing?
Yeah, about once a month or so. Once a month. It depends, I'm around either Jersey or more Central Atlantic. And then, we have events throughout the year too that I travel to. So like BUC, R4,
Even our brand new agents
just
average
other
17 to
agent
24
events throughout the
sales a
country.
year.
Going to triple play? Did you get a big fight at triple play this year?
I contained myself. I did not throw a chair this year.
Did you see that video where they had the mortgage brokers that got all like drunk and they really had like, it was like 1 a.m. Like, it was nuts.
Oh my gosh.
Terrible. Terrible.
Check it out
Yeah.
at Real Estate
I know, I showed my husband that video and he's like, you
Or
go to
visit
that?
the Tom Toole sales group at Remax
I mean, Atlantic City's
Yeah.
not
TomToole.com. That's TomToolewithAne.com. Get more out of your
Triple-
real
I mean,
estate
some of these
career
real estate
and remember the
conferences.
real estate golden rule.
That one's
You
tough,
always
'cause
get
it's not
more
like
when you
they
work with
had
Tom
like
Toole.
Bill
The Tom Toole
Rancic
sales
speak
group
there
is the
once,
number
though.
one Remax team
Yeah,
in Pennsylvania
yeah.
with over 165 million in volume.
Atlantic City's just not like a place like a lot of people want to
I'm
visit.
Tom Toole, and
Especially
our
in
team has
December.
achieved that kind of success by being
It's like
a great
miserable.
place to
Yeah.
work with and to
Yeah.
You
work
ever watch that show
for.
Boardwalk
No one
Empire?
knows
Where they're
Greater
like,
Philly
Yeah.
better
it's like the
than
wintertime there and it
we
looks
do.
like, it's
Real
miserable.
estate, but
Yeah,
more
it looks
real
better on Boardwalk
people.
Yeah, I know.
It does work the life.
I think Atlantic City was a lot nicer
Even our
than.
brand new
Yeah.
agents sell 17 to 24 homes
Yeah.
a year.
Not a
because
place
our
that you
team
want to like
delivers the best
explore.
experience in real estate.
We went to this like
Teams deliver
restaurant
better
there over the summer. It's like this hip
experience
place,
and we're
and
a
like
top 1%
there was like
real estate team in the country.
there was like this
We call
giant
it
dog
AAA
that almost like
service, where your advocate,
had to be a pit
ally,
bull,
and
almost like came to the
advisor.
fence right next to it. And I'm like, why are we going here? Like, it was,
Oh,
It's a
geez.
my wife's cousin like
If you
suggested
buy
she
or
lives down the
sell
shore,
a
and I'm
home,
like,
call the Tom Toole
Yeah.
There's just somebody like walking their dog.
line at
no, it was like
610-690.
it's like there was a fence next to the restaurant. And
Oh, so he's like always there.
people like smoking like cigarettes right outside. And I'm like, and I mean, this dog, like, I thought this fence was coming down when we parked. I'm like, this is it.
You always get more when you work with Tom Toole.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Sarah Timon, and we have Sarah Gustafaro here from Remax International. Sarah and I both work at the Tom Toole Sales Group, the #1 Remax team in Pennsylvania since 2018. And we're going to be talking about this Compass exclusive that nearly cost the seller $100,000, as well as what Sarah's doing to support the Remax network in our last segment here. If you get some value out of this or you like what you hear, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. And if you want to schedule a call with our team about how we'll make sure you don't leave that kind of money on the table like we're going to talk about next, you can do that with the link in the comments and talk to Sarah here. She's got many happy listener clients. So I'm going to read this story to you here. Did you get a chance to see this, either one of you?
I have not yet, but I know this has been rampant right now.
Yeah, I saw something on it.
So Caitlin Bigelow, I mean, this is not like some random person. She's a marketing pro turned real estate developer. That's what it says on her LinkedIn profile. So she posted this on LinkedIn. This was not some contrived story coming from a real estate company or anything like that. She's based out of San Francisco. And the short of the story is that they planned to sell their condo, and they had their Compass agent wanting to put it as a private exclusive. And these are her words. He positioned it as a marketing tool to push our listing to all Compass agents before we went live to the MLS. So we went for it. With 2 showings, we had a couple that wanted to write an offer. My first thought was bird in hand is better than 2 in the bush. But then I wasn't. Is a bird in hand better than 50 in the bush? The markets were roller coastering and the tariff wars were starting, and she felt conflicted. Ultimately, it was a bit out of their price range, and they decided to wait to see what happens. So the buyer backed out, and it went on. The story goes on and on here, and they ended up selling it for $100,000 more than what the existing buyer was going to do. So, yeah, I mean, this is interesting, and this is not like she posted this on her LinkedIn profile, and if 2 people saw it and we hit the magic number, what if 50 people saw it? I think that's a relevant question. And she doesn't really dance around the issue. It says a free and open market is what allowed us to get top dollar and ultimately walk away with a much bigger win. So I'm all in favor of Zillow throwing its weight around. There was a bunch of comments from like James Dwiggins. I'm sure you know him, Sarah, and he's been a very anti-exclusive listing. He's pro CCP, clear cooperation. Apparently they couldn't find any comps, which for a condo, I have like a hard time believing they couldn't find comparable sales, but that's a whole other story. What do you 2 think about this? Because this is not like there's very clear sides that have been picked. Remax really hasn't taken a side, so I don't know what Sarah's going to be able to say here. But like you got EXP is pro CCP, so Zillow obviously, James Dwiggins and Next Home, and then you got obviously Compass pushing their agenda here. What do you 2 think about this? That's a lot of money.
So they didn't accept the offer with the magic number?
The buyer backed out.
Okay, the buyer backed out. And then at that point, they put it up on the market, and that's where they got
6 days later, they got an offer.
Yeah.
100K above the magic number.
Yeah. I mean, I think it just shows that like if you only get the larger pool that you open it up to, the higher likelihood that you're going to get more competitive offers. So I think in this seller's case, that worked out great that the buyer did back out. I'd be curious to kind of hear what the conversation with their agent looked like when the higher offer came in, and if the agent was like, well, obviously you'd be very excited to tell your seller like, oh my gosh, like, all right, I know the other one fell apart, but here we've got this other great offer and da da da. I wonder if there was a part of them that was a little bit like, oh no, because like it's so much higher, and you had like, probably pushed for the private exclusive being the way to go.
Now she did say I don't know who the realtor was. We were happy with our realtor. To be clear, I don't think there were any nefarious intentions. He was surprised we had so many counter offers after the initial offers, which drove the price up much higher than we had hoped and he had thought possible. But that's definitely, I mean, that's happened to everybody where you don't expect these homes to sell where they do. So Sarah from Remax, what do you think about this?
Well, I want to reread something from this post, Tom. A private exclusive Compass marketplace is great for Compass and Compass buyers and no one else. And I bring that up because I think, at Remax, we really lean into the fact that Remax agents are designed to be fiduciaries for their clients. And you really have to step back and ask, what is in the best interest of my client? Is this truly, setting them up for success? And why are we leaning away from this competition when in this market, we know there's more competition, there's more options than ever. And there's pent up demand. So you just have to kind of step back and ask yourself what makes sense as a buyer or seller when choosing your agent, but then choosing what to do. So I know that Remax has not done private listings in particular because, our founders have always believed that it's in the best interest of buyers and sellers that work with Remax agents, get the best and most widespread exposure.
Well, and Compass agents need to be very careful how they're pitching this, because we broke down the forms last week, and like the form, it's like a marketing plan. Like I don't know, and I mean, you never want to be in the situation where the seller says, like, I didn't know that's what I was signing. Like that's not a good thing. And the EXP form they put out there, and what I give EXP credit for is they put these forms out there for everyone to use. That's like a disclosure. Like that's very clear. It's like it looks like a lead-based paint form almost, right? Mm-hmm. And so you got to be very careful here. And I think the reaction is like people are just they're so wound up in this CCP battle. And obviously, you got Robert Refkin. I mean, he's been pretty vocal about this. Have you seen some of these posts he's been putting out there? Compass has achieved everything it has without forcing homeowners to do anything. Why can't NAR and MLSs do the same? Compass has achieved everything without banning homeowners who don't give us their listings. Why can't Zillow and Redfin do the same? I don't think it's that cut and dry, but this guy, I mean, he's staking his claim right now. Like, you know what I mean? So, and it goes a little further, because now they're suing. I don't know if you saw this one, Sarah, the Northwest MLS. This is like the I would say they're like the most edgy MLS out there, right? They always are, kind of doing things a little differently. We're part of Bright, which is the second largest. They kind of go with the flow. And they filed a federal lawsuit against the Northwest MLS, accusing the Seattle-based MLS of monopolistic and anti-competitive behavior because they're going to be banning these listings that aren't appearing because of the private exclusives and the coming soons and everything else. What do you two think about that?
Yeah, I mean, like I think it makes sense. Like if you're going to be going private exclusive, then I don't know that you should have all of the other tools available to you. So, I think you kind of need to pick one lane or the other.
Mm-hmm. What do you think? Are you allowed to talk about that? And seriously, I mean, if you can't say anything, I don't care. But I'm curious, because this is such a controversial topic right now.
It is, and I do have to be careful representing Remax World Headquarters. But I will say, what's interesting to me is, when Zillow came out and said that they'll no longer display listings that are initially marketed exclusively to a limited group of buyers, it makes me wonder what do they fear as far as exposure with that? And I think what we're seeing in the Northeast, or excuse me, the Northwest, is probably, the tip of the next iceberg. So we'll see. I'm happy to be with a brand that believes that, every single client that works with a Remax agent deserves the widest net possible to get the most competitive offer and most competitive experience.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and there are mechanisms in place with most MLSs to do like a delayed listing or like there are office exclusives and then coming soon, all that stuff. So to me, what sellers should have is choice, because I don't like that you're forced to do one thing or the other as a seller. Like, I mean, this is like a rights question here, because imagine like you're not in real estate and they're like, hey, well, you can't put your home. If you find out your home's not going on Zillow, most sellers aren't going to be happy with that. They're getting pitched something else. Why is the seller's choice being told what happens from these rules? I think that's the biggest problem here. And that's where NAR, I think, could do a much better job of saying, like, here's the options. You can do all of them, and here's like a national form to like a disclosure form. I don't know why this is that hard. And I get what Compass is doing. I think they're looking to build their own network to recruit and to win more business and double end more sales. I think that's very clear. I don't know why NAR just can't make a statement about this and say, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's the policy, and that's it. But we're here, and this, the amount of energy people are spent on this. I think like we posted some reel about this from the Knowledge Brokers podcast, and I got all kinds of comments. There was, let me see how many. I mean, people were like defending this, arguing it. I don't know. There's a position really to be taken here, but instead, it's just focus on your business and let this kind of figure itself out. I mean, we had 157 people arguing back and forth about this over the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I think that as long as the seller is presented with the different options and kind of like what that means for them, like seller's choice. But it would be nice if there almost was a disclosure, like more of like a disclosure form that clearly stated what it is that they're choosing and what that means for the marketing of their home.
I think it comes down to education for the sellers too, of as they choose their real estate expert to work with, they need to start thinking about these questions as to like why, and asking, a a company or an agent that has exclusive private listings to say, why does that matter? Why does that benefit me? What does this mean for my listing? And ask more questions of the agent to really get to the bottom of it. Because everything that you just described, Tom, that's Compass's goal. It's not necessarily the client's goal, right? So they have to pride and poke to really figure out, like, okay, is this going to be the best choice for me? And what are my options? Why does this benefit me, and what are my options?
Well, where this gets so screwy is that, like, some MLSs have different rules than others, and like it just, I mean, unless it's like against the state law, they should just be all the same. I mean, I don't understand all this, and it's the amount of time that people spend on stuff that's not related to helping consumers and selling houses drives me insane in this business. You know how I feel about this. I'm like, all right, whatever. We're gonna, I'm not worried about any of this stuff. Let's just go help some people. And this isn't stopping, which is what I'm kind of. I mean, this is going to go on and on here. I think you see these like leaders in the comments, right? So Errol Samuelson, you ever met him? Very smart guy, right? So, I mean, he's on. He's in the comment section saying, well, if you argue that buyers and sellers might benefit, he's from Zillow, from private listings. The reality is they create an uneven playing field. Buyers who are not able to access these hidden listings are at a significant disadvantage, missing out on potential opportunities simply because they aren't aware of listings or were already working with an agent who also didn't have access to these listings. Now, Zillow's obviously got an agenda too, because they want all the listings on their site. So you got to kind of look at that. But he's a smart guy. And I think the whole point of the clear cooperation policy was so the buyers knew about things in the first place. That was kind of the intent, was at least my interpretation. You got Leo Pereira from EXP. I mean, I'm glad RE/MAX isn't spending their time like having like text wars on these comments. Makes me feel a little better.
Productive.
Well, I mean, what do you think about it? I mean, do you think these leaders should be focusing on something else? You're in the corporate world. I mean, what's your observation?
Absolutely. Every moment that they spend commenting on Facebook is time that they don't spend helping people get into their dream home. So I think it absolutely is a distraction. And that's exactly what it is. It's, it takes away from the true dollar productive activities of productive agents. And while, yes, they need to educate themselves, make sure that they're, in tune with what's happening in the marketplace and what could be a potential concern for their clients, it's also more important to gain experience by selling more homes and going out there and actually helping people.
I mean, this looks like, have you ever seen one of those posts that just goes on and people start losing their mind? I mean, you kind of
get lost in it because of the crazy.
I'm looking at, so Tina Call, the chief visionary from, she's a TEDx speaker, Veronica Figueroa, who's a great EXP mega team leader, Leo Pereira. I mean, this is James Dwiggins, Gary Acosta. He's with the NAHREP. That's the Hispanic Realtors Association. I mean, Bess Friedman, the CEO at Brown Ham. This is insane to me. I mean, and it just keeps going. I don't really get it. I get people have to protect their business, but I just love people focusing on what actually they're supposed to be doing in the first place. That's my observation here. Anything else you guys want to add here?
I mean, I'm not going to be spending any of my time commenting.
Oh, I know you're not
doing any of that. But if other people want to, and then it like pushes things through, all right, waste your time.
Well, but that's, when there's stuff like this that goes on, I think you have two choices as a business owner, because you're a business owner, right? You can just go abide by the rules and go do some business, or you can try to change things. And it's very difficult changing things. I don't know, especially these made up rules that NAR came up with. So this is going to keep going. They're going to spend a lot of money on attorneys here too. Like, you think about this. I mean, Compass, are they even profitable yet? I mean, they're getting all the SoftBank. There's so many better things to focus on. All right, we're going to take a break. That's enough of that. We'll be right back. We're going to talk to Sarah about what she's doing to focus on what actually matters, which is helping agents list and sell real estate with RE/MAX International, next on Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM.
Have to deal with all the red tape when getting your mortgage from a big or online bank. At Mortgage America, we have access to big bank money, but with the personalized and detailed service of a local bank. We are here in your community and ready to serve with fast settlements, low down payment options.
Well, you got to actually probably see these people at like these events and stuff. So I'm just like, man, what are you guys doing all day?
I know.
For more information, visit our website at mymortgageamerica.com or give us a call at 610-439-8000. We're Jersey Western.
When looking for a mortgage, you shouldn't have to sacrifice service to get a great rate. Visit the Sutera team at Cross Country Mortgage. We are your local Pennsylvania lending experts with loans that fit nearly any unique home buying situation, including first-time buyer options, low to no down payment options, and non-agency products. Get a free pre-approval now at ccm.com and search for us, the Suteras. That's S-U-T.
I gotta take my allergy medication this morning. I had an attack. Like, how many times that happened on the show?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It's so
The
embarrassing.
worst.
Yeah.
Career in real estate? You want control over your income.
Let's store some here.
Seconds? Call us today at 610.
This time of year is rough around here.
Yeah.
My car's like covered in pollen.
Yeah.
Join our
This is-
team.
it's just getting started, too.
At Remax Main Line.
All right, here we go. All right. Welcome back to Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Sarah Time, and we both work at the Tom Toole Sales Group at Remax Main Line, the #1 Remax team in Pennsylvania since 2018. And we're going to talk about what our area vice president, Sarah Gustafaro, does from Remax International next. If you get some value out of this, you like what you hear, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. So, Sarah G, like we're back in grade school here. You guys even spell Sarah the same way. So, I mean, it was very, very ironic. So, talk about what you do at Remax, because I don't think a lot of people understand the corporate side of real estate or even know there's a corporate side, especially on the consumer level.
Yeah, for sure. So I am an area vice president with Remax World Headquarters. Within the company-owned regions at Remax World Headquarters in the United States, we're broken up into 2 mega regions. So I'm an area vice president in the East region. I help oversee 6 different states. We span from Maine all the way down to Florida, and then as west as Tennessee and Kentucky. The other half of the United States is the West Central region. They cover all of the mountain states, Nevada, California, Oregon, Pacific Northwest, all of that. So at Remax headquarters, we're a franchisor. So every Remax office is independently owned and operated, which is really exciting because we get to visit each office and see how they take the brand and take all the tools and systems that we provide our franchisees and how they then in turn help agents be the most productive, the most profitable agents that they can be. So my role at headquarters is really focused on growth. I'm part of the customer success team, which essentially just means that we focus on consulting, training, and accountability for growth, for profitability, helping agents be the best that they can, helping them build their business essentially within Remax, and essentially lead all of our franchisees to be leaders of their own real estate brokerage.
I love that. So you got to deal with a whole lot of different people, and you got all these tools. And I think one of the things about real estate agents, and we know that you give them all these tools and they don't use like 90% of them. So what kind of, how do you help people implement? Because I think that is the biggest gap in this business, and it goes all the way to the top. It goes to the broker owners, it goes to the team leaders, it goes to the agents. That is such a gap in this business. And the more the more they use, the better off the company's going to be on your end. How do you help people implement?
Yeah, good question. So, I just want to, I want to acknowledge that Remax has been around for about 52 years, which is a really crazy long time when you look at, who's in the business right now. And Dave and Gail Linegar, when they first started Remax, really revolutionized the industry by focusing on agent first. Throughout the last 52 years, we've seen quite an evolution of the brand. And we're in a new era right now where we're really, getting back to your question about adoption, we're looking at what are agents out there really craving? What do they need for their business? What exists right now as far as technology, as far as helping agents win more listings, provide better experience and service to their clients, helping clients be attracted to the brand and want to work with a Remax agent. So we're looking at our value proposition, and really we're back to thinking like a startup at Remax headquarters, which is really quite an exciting time. The technology that we're releasing right now is really second to none, and it's all included as people join Remax. So it really truly is around helping agents be more efficient, get more listings, and build and scale a more profitable business. So as long as we focus on that and make sure that we're following the agent's lead, following what they need in order to do that, and providing tools, investing in different companies that can add on and continue to build a true ecosystem for ease of usage for agents. It just helps with adoption all around. But yeah, it's a challenge, but we're up for it. And we're, our new tech stack and new solutions that we present every day, I think really draw in a number of agents that want to do more business.
Very cool. Well, I mean, that's the kind of people you want, because you can't really
For
coach
sure.
someone to be driven. So Remax just made a hire here. I saw you posting something about this on LinkedIn. It was Daniel
Dennis.
Daniel Dennis, SVP
Yeah.
of Sales and Service. So
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that, because I'll be the first one to tell you the corporate structure. I mean, I'm in the business every day. Sarah's the same way. We're just kind of here doing our thing.
Yeah.
You were pretty excited about this.
I am.
So tell us about Daniel. Tell us what it means for the company.
Yeah, well, and I'll tell you a little bit more about some other folks too, because Eric Carlson is our new CEO at Remax headquarters. He's CEO over Remax Holdings. Remax is one vertical under Remax Holdings. We have Motto Mortgage, we have Weemlo, a number of different data companies. So Eric oversees everything, and Eric actually came from a background in Dish. And at first everyone was like, wait a minute, but you don't have experience in real estate. That matters. And quickly we realized that, what he may lack in true like real estate, never selling a home type of experience, he makes up for tenfold in innovation, in outside thinking and in challenging the way that we do things. And that's what we really, really needed.
Mhm.
So what he's done is he's brought in other experts in different verticals to help support him that do have that extensive real estate background. One of them being Daniel Dennis, another one being Chris Lim. He's our
Mhm.
Chief Executive Growth Officer now.
Okay.
And then we also have Travis Saxton that just joined, who's really focused on the strategy of the company. And this is the first time that we've had those verticals in place at such a high executive level to really help drive the vision of the company. So what makes me excited about that is, number one, they're brand new positions that we've brought in to really be hyper-focused in each one of those arenas. And the vision is coming together as far as where Eric really wants to take the company moving forward. He has all these people that have tie-ins to the network, that know the industry inside and out, have really, really solid experience that can help influence that.
So you brought in all these people, and is that something new for Remax? Because I'm a big believer the worst manager, and these are C-level execs, same thing. The worst one that tries to do everything themselves, and you got to be specialized. And so is this a new direction for the company? Is that something Eric sees as something that's important? Talk about that, because I mean, obviously these people cost money. There's a lot of resources being invested here, and I'm a big believer you win with the right people.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think previously our structure was CEO. Then we would have a president of Remax Remax LLC, which we're still looking for. And then under that, we would have other VPs of various departments to help contribute to the goals overall as the organization. What we have now are really specialized individuals who are highly focused on developing the teams under their vertical to help move the company forward, ultimately helping, again, agents win more listings, be more efficient, be more profitable, and remain the most trusted, productive, and professional in the industry. So absolutely it matters. This is the first time, again, that we've had these specialized positions. And it's made us more agile as a company.
So talk about your background, because you talked about people that don't have a real estate background. You weren't in real estate before you started doing this. Sarah's been doing great. I found what you did before Remax was very interesting. And I think it talks to a lot of people that want to get into real estate. You talked about Eric Carlson. You don't need to have real estate experience to get into real estate. And sometimes you do better when you don't have experience. That's my observation.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I actually am somewhat local. I was born and raised in Maryland, Montgomery County. From there, I went to Coastal Carolina University. And once I graduated, kind of hung out for a little bit. Was like, well, I can move back east, back north, or I could move to Ohio at the time, where my now husband's from. Or we could do something completely crazy and different. And we decided to move to Denver. We're like, let's try it out for a year. We love the mountains. We love the lifestyle. A year quickly became 15. So
long time.
It's definitely home now. But when I first moved to Denver, I was actually hired as a member retention manager for Massage Envy. And I worked for a franchisee who owned 2 or 3 locations, and then slowly kind of made my way up to business manager and then director of operations. I then started working for the regional developer of the Massage Envy group in Colorado, and they had 28 locations across the state. So I would travel to each location. I would do training, recruiting. I would help with just overall operations, and got to a point where I was like, I've kind of reached where where I can go with that company, and just started looking around. And at the time, I was so done with management. I was like, I do not want that call at 10 p.m. with someone calling out. Like, I'm done. So I applied for a very different job at Remax headquarters. And the HR lady was like, you're a little overqualified. I'm going to recommend you for this. And I was like, dang it. I really I want out.
Oh, no.
No, but it was a blessing in disguise, because I was placed in the Carolinas at the time. So I was like, oh my gosh,
Okay.
I just came from there. It's perfect fit. I know them. And then a reorg shuffle happened, a couple promotions here and there. I got moved back to the Northeast region. And I was like, this is fantastic. This is home. I know this is great. So yeah, I've held a number of different roles, number of different positions. Real estate, there are a lot of different things from my previous role at Massage Envy that carried over pretty seamlessly. And I think that, you don't have to have real estate experience to get into real estate. There's a lot of things that are unteachable and a lot of things that are teachable. And I think that, as long as you have that drive and that growth mindset to get outside your comfort zone and continue to learn at all times, real estate is relatively easy transition for the right people.
So you talked a lot about all the stuff Remax is doing to innovate. I mean, what are some of the things you feel like are must for people to know right now? Because I don't think people understand what a brokerage like a national brand can really do for you at a high level. I think most agents are just trying to figure out how to sell a house tomorrow.
Yeah, true. A lot of the things that we're looking at right now from a headquarters and technology evolution standpoint are AI driven. That's huge right now. How can we use AI to harness the power of 144,000 agents worldwide under the Remax brand? We don't do that enough. We have a massive referral network, and excuse me, I think using our new Max Refer system, where we're using AI to help agents find other Remax agents across the world, is huge. Even from the consumer side, as consumers go to remax.com or an agent's particular website or brokerage website, something as simple as having an AI chatbot to help drive the conversation and just make their experience more comprehensive and more to the point makes all the difference. So anything right now that can help improve the client's experience to then help the agent better serve the client is where we're headed.
Need some water?
I do, actually.
They asked, but
I'll be all right.
I don't know. You probably don't want the one I've been drinking out of. So with the AI stuff, I mean, like Sarah, I think like I want to get your opinion on this. I don't think people are using AI enough. I think how often are you using AI? Like legitimately? And we probably use it more than most people.
Yeah. A couple times a week.
Okay. So like, I mean, so how like Sarah from Remax. So I think AI should be like running the business in a lot of ways. I mean, like anything that you can delegate, like that's the easiest thing you can do. Because I think a lot of people get stuck in like I do is better than anybody else. So I mean, do you have more technology coming down the pike like that, or I mean, tell us more about what may be on the horizon here.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll tell you one thing that we have right now, and then I'll tell you a little bit about what's coming. Folio is one of our plugins, if you will, for the Bull Trail system, where an agent can download Folio, and it basically scans your entire inbox as an agent. It extracts all of the important documents, deadlines, anything to do with the transaction to better organize and make sure that you don't miss anything as an agent.
Amazing.
Right? Could that save you a little bit of time? That's all AI. So that basically is an it overlays on top of your email inbox. Everything that we have right now with MaxTech powered by Bull Trail, all of our design center capabilities, the Max Refer, all of that is going to have AI kind of peppered in throughout to help agents be more efficient.
Love it. You talk about a big time waster. I mean, email, like that's one of the worst. People email you when they either want your time or your money, and it's not like like productive stuff. Like it's not important enough for a phone call. So I think that's really helpful. That's incredible. So I mean, in terms of, we got a couple minutes left here. So for the people that are looking for like how to use the broker owners that are maybe not using your services well enough, what are some ways you can help those people? Because I think some people just like doing their own thing and they don't reach out enough.
Yeah, I know. Saving money. I mean, all of this stuff is included with being with Remax. If nothing else, it's like, let's look at what you're spending your money on and how can we kick that to the curb and actually use something right now that you have available at your fingertips just for being with Remax.
Mhm.
So I think, analyzing what matters to them in their business, what's absolutely critical, making sure that we have a substitute for that to make sure that there is no hiccup in their business can flow smoothly through all the tools that we have. Everything is really designed, again, to be part of an ecosystem. So even Max Marketing, we partner with Keeping Current Matters, where agents can get an
Mhm.
automatic newsletter sent out to their clients. We talked earlier about being the real estate expert. That's a huge piece of it. So really, it's just matching goals, what they want to focus on, and what's available to them. It's all one step at a time. I think if you try to do everything all at once, it's probably not going to go well.
Right.
But if you break it down and you figure out, okay, what matters most right now to your business goals and what you need to do to serve your clients the best way possible, well, we have something for that.
Very cool. I love that you're talking about AI. I mean, we were, we have an initiative just within our team, like, what can we do to automate more? Because there's so many people, they just do these things and they're these time wasters. And I think that's really, really important. And you're going to be behind if you don't start adopting that right away. So what do you do in your free time, Sarah? Tell us a little bit about you. I mean, it's not, I know it's not all Remax all the time here.
Yeah. Well, I moved to Colorado because I love the lifestyle, and we do a lot of hiking, we snowboard almost every weekend in the wintertime.
Nice.
I have a golden retriever that's taken up a lot of my time right now. We're just getting him ready for summer activities.
Oh, boy.
And love to just be outside. I actually love to draw. I've done that for a number of years, and just lots of different stuff.
Very cool. Well, Sarah, thanks for coming on. Where can people follow and connect with you here? What's the best spot?
I would say LinkedIn. Find me on LinkedIn, Sarah Gustafaro, with Remax World Headquarters.
All right. Find Sarah on LinkedIn. Thanks so much for coming on. You want to follow me or Sarah Time, and you can do that on Instagram. Sarah's at Ty_Ty Time. You can follow me at TomToole3RD. And we'll be back next week on Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM.
Of course, I lose my voice right at the end.
It always
happens all the time.
Oh my God.
I was like tearing when